Hey! British planes! Who doesn't love British planes? At tier 2, I know I love the shit out of British planes. At tier 3, I find myself slightly less excited about the British planes. But hey, British planes! This Spitfire has so much power they needed 4 prop blades instead of just 3. So, British planes. Everybody obviously knows the Spitfires turn well. I mean, you either find it out by playing the Spitfires and going, holy shit, these planes turn well, or by playing any other aircraft and trying to turn with a Spitfire and dying and trying to figure out what went wrong and using different turning tactics next time and still getting outturned because the Spitfire just turns better than you. So yeah, I mean, that's what the Spitfires are known for, turning. Which, that obviously means if you end up in a turn fight with someone stupid enough to get into a turn fight with you, you've already won. It takes very little from that point forwards to win. The real problem with British aircraft, and this starts to become very noticeable in Tier 4, and I'm already starting to notice it in Tier 3, and it's that while the British aircraft are much faster than the Japanese aircraft, well, the Zero at least, the maneuverable Japanese aircraft are much slower than the British aircraft. The British aircraft still aren't very fast. And when it comes right down to it, when you're not very fast, that means pretty much everyone can outrun you. You can outclimb a lot of people, but even in a dive, most people will be able to outrun you. Which means if the enemy's smart enough and they don't want to fight you, they can just refuse to fight you. And if the entire team ends up being smart and refusing to fight you, you're not going to get any kills. Spitfires are renowned for going like 10-0, or at least like 10-2 or 3, however many Spitfires you have. You can lose most of them. A Spitfire is a Spitfire. The higher tier ones are a bit better, but they aren't that much better. Whoa, how's it going, buddy? That was almost funny. So, hey, it's the Ki-84. That's the one fast Japanese plane. That's also a Japanese plane you can easily outturn in a Spitfire. It's one of the few Japanese planes that you don't really have to fear. It's basically a Kitty Hawk with a bit more power. Well, it's not. It's a Kitty Hawk with the exact same amount of power and weighing significantly less. Is this Yak 3 gonna come at me? The cool thing about Spitfires are that as long as it's not a Zero, a Chaika, or one of the lower tier Japanese planes, all the low tier Japanese planes can turn well. As long as it's not one of them, you can outturn it. All the time. There are very few exceptions to what you can and can't outturn. You can outturn pretty much anything, except for a handful of planes. The major downside is just about everything can outrun you, especially in dives. Well, especially in a straight line, not so much in a dive. Some British planes do, well, the later tier Spitfires do dive really well. Not well enough. Alright. And the other downside is I can't dive away from this guy, so I'm going to have to try and turn fight him. I'm also going to have to try and turn fight this guy at the same time because I don't have the speed to run away. And I don't have the energy to try and stay up with him. Where'd the Yak 3 go? There he is. Yak 3 looping back. The Yak 3 is looping back. Going head on with Russian planes, you're giving up all of your advantages. Your big advantage is maneuverability. Which means your really big advantage is doing shit like that, turning so far inside of them, they just can't do anything about it. They just can't turn with you. Which means you're going to need pretty quick reactions to do well with the Spitfires, especially in arcade. Because shots like that, those trick shots, if you can make those, then you're going to get a shitload of kills. And even I, with my shit accuracy, can make them sometimes, as you just saw. And I'm going to get an assist when he goes down. And I've been damaged enough. Spitfires don't behave terribly well when damaged. They can still outturn. They can still outturn most planes, especially if they have enough energy. Like that Yak 3, I have so much energy on him, I could dive in on him going super fast. Use that huge energy advantage to get away if I desperately wanted to, but Spitfires do bleed speed like crazy in dives. Which means it's very easy for a faster aircraft like him to gain the speed advantage. If I dive on him while he's going really fast, it doesn't look like he's going really fast. So it looks like I'm going to be able to catch him no problem in this dive. But if he dives up, 109. And it's an F-Series, so he has a butt crack load of cannons. Is he going to try and turn, or is he just going to go straight? He's going to turn. There's a Typhoon as well. I'm going to end up dead. I'd just like to get a kill or two before I die. That's my goal here. I've accepted the inevitability of my life ending. Because I am going to die. I'm right below the enemy's spawn point, and I'm bleeding off all my speed. Stop having a stroke on your keyboard or your mouse, please. Look, all I got are 30s left. And half his team's going to be up behind me in a second. There we go. And he's not going to die because he was being a little whore. Just so you know, when people have strokes on their keyboards, they die painful deaths at some point in their life for being a terrible person. Alright, so we're going to play the Typhoon. The premium Mark 1B Typhoon is basically the exact same thing as the Mark 1B. I just haven't unlocked it yet in the normal lineup, so I'm going to use the premium one to show you what it's like. I'm pretty sure the premium Typhoon is absolutely no different than the normal Typhoon. Pretty sure. The Typhoon is a really weird plane. It's not super maneuverable, but it can outturn a shockingly large... Isn't that one hell of a daisy chain? Anyway, the Typhoon is a very maneuverable plane. You can outturn Spitfires in a Typhoon if you can convince the Spitfire to lose enough energy. I wouldn't recommend trying until you become a good energy fighter, but it is possible. Because the Typhoons do turn properly well. People that confuse Typhoons and Tempests often end up dying when they think a Typhoon is a Tempest. Tempests can't turn for jack shit. They make up for it by being the fastest low-altitude prop plane, and arguably one of the fastest prop planes in the game, just straight up altogether. They are absolute monsters, the Tempests. Spitfire coming at me. I'm going to see if I have enough energy to zoom away. If not, then I'm going to have to fight him. And if I do have to fight him, we're going to test that Typhoons can outturn Spitfire's idea. I know I can beat him in a head-on if I have to, but I'd really rather not. I'd really rather just kill him without getting myself killed. Screw it, we're doing a head-on. Oh, who's shooting me? Is that really him? Did someone come up behind me? Someone came up behind me while I was paying attention, huh? Or was that him? I'm gonna get really annoyed if that was him. I probably should have been paying more attention to shooting. I think it was. The Hispanos in this game have way too high of a muzzle velocity. As a result, they end up having a lot more range than other nations' cannons. Yep, that was him. Well, that really sucked. So anyway, yeah, let's give a broken fighter romp really quick. I am not a fan of this plane anymore. I was when it was invincible. Now that it's not invincible, it kind of took all the fun of it away. It does have very dangerous guns though. It still has plenty of ammo. We're gonna go kill the 1,571. He is the 1,571st Johnny Blaze. Why are there so many Johnny Blazes? I don't know. I tend not to question it. Just accept the fact that they're all there, and I don't care about them. So, were there really over 1,000 Johnny Blazes in this game already? And another person decided they were going to try and be clever. Oh, I'm not going to survive this one. Bowfighters used to be able to dive into shit like this and get away with it. Let's try and zoom climb. Get away from some of these people. I'd like to do closer to a one-on-one and less of a 50-on-1. The Yak 3 looks like a good kill. Oh, that's right. Bowfighters get instantly pilot killed every time somebody shoots them. I forgot about that. Yeah, don't go head-on with bowfighters anymore. That happens pretty much every single time. Bowfighters can't do head-ons anymore, despite the fact they have amazing armament and extremely thick armor in front of the pilot. But yeah, fuck it, not anymore. Enough people complained about the bowfighter that Gaiden said, fuck historical accuracy, let's just make them instant death every time you get anywhere near them. Which I'm not complaining about too much, to be honest. I'm pretty happy the bowfighter isn't the terrifying monster it used to be. It's to the point now where 50 caliber armed planes can beat them in head-ons half the time. And if you have a cannon, you will beat them every time, assuming you have even the slightest bit of aim. Since the pilot hitbox is twice the size of the plane, meaning if you miss the plane, you'll still probably hit the pilot because their pilot is so large. Being sarcastic, a little, but not too much. They do get pilot killed extremely easily. From any angle, you can pilot kill them from the sides, behind. They have less armor than fighters do now, because, you know, bowfighters, they were made out of paper mache. Clearly. Everybody knows that. I mean, you have to be stupid not to know that. I do sound like I'm mad, but I'm really not mad. They decided they were going to balance the bowfighter, and they did it in an extremely stupid way. But, they could have done worse. It probably would have been worse just to leave the bowfighter as it was, because it was pretty bad. I really don't want to give up this energy advantage when there's that many of them. I'm just going to try and lure one of them up here, then kill one of them while they're going to climb. Coming after me, that is my goal. Spitfires are amazing, but they are not survive that mess amazing. If that guy would have stayed going up, he'd be dead right now. But he didn't. I'm not douchey enough to go after those landed guys, am I? Nope, gonna go after this guy. Or am I? I don't even know. Yep, I'm gonna nose after him. Or roll after him, you know, whatever. Alright. It's nice to know I'm still a bad shot. I was about to say let's hope he is, but he doesn't have the energy to catch me. And I hope none of them do either. Well, I could have shot those guys down that were on the ground. Or I could have made a diddle hole of myself. I'm glad I made the right decision. Hey, I got 3 with that first one. And I got nothing with a bowfighter. I also got nothing with a Typhoon. It turns out neither of them are good at head-ons. Really, dude? Did he seriously just do that? I wish I was paying more attention. That guy'd be dead right now. That was a very stupid move on his part. He didn't start anywhere near as high as I did. I'm glad he sucks at aiming, but he shouldn't be in range right now. I know Spitfires zoom poorly, but so do the Yaks. It's one of the reasons why I hate the Yaks, and he should be stalling now. I am. Alright, there we go. Alright. Hard rudder, roll around. How's that for a hammerhead? There we go. Woo! Alright. I'm an ace, yay! Motherfucker. That was a fight. Thank God he couldn't aim. Alright, gonna give myself 11 seconds to get my cannons up, and that Spitfire's gonna die. Nope, he's diving. What a coward. Also known as an intelligent person. What an intelligent coward. Alright, let's give this a shot. He's not gonna be the easy kill I was hoping for. But he should be a pretty nice kill, anyway, if he doesn't maneuver too hard. Apparently I suck a lot more than I used to. That wasn't that hard of a shot. Uh-oh. Oh. Well, I just got killed. I made a poor decision, poor decision, poor decision. Can outturn all these guys, but I'm not gonna get the opportunity. Who's the last person that shot me? Oh, I tricked him. He thought I was turning right. Turns out I turned left. Suck it. I'm going to focus on the Law 5, as the Law 5 is a much bigger threat than the E1. I hope that's an E1. Spitfire is also a pretty good size threat, but I'm still going to focus on the Law because I'd rather kill the Law. Also, I can kill the Law. I should be out-turned. Well, I am crippled all to hell. So I can understand why I wouldn't be able to out-turn the Law, but I'd still really like to. That poor guy's going to be thinking that he can out-turn Spitfires now. Why did I just roll right? I'm clearly rolling left. Oh, that hesitation just got me killed. Not the Law. Ah, that fucking lucky little penis head. And he did almost nothing. This game really needs to work on its kill, who it awards the kill to. The person who gets the lucky shot after two other people cripple him shouldn't get a kill, with kills being worth. What the hell are you doing over here? You know, I usually don't go after bombers on domination maps, but he's asking for it. Well, he has asked for it, and he has gotten it. I'm ramming him. Yeah, that's right. Just rammed that guy on purpose, and I lived. These Typhoons are amazing. Hey, we lost. I mean, we won. Yay, we won. Fuck. Alright, so British planes. Amazing tier 2 aircraft. I've loved no nation more than the British at tier 2. They even have some acceptable tier 1 planes. I don't like them at tier 4. I don't like them at tier 3. Well, I don't like them at tier... I know for a fact I'm going to hate them at tier 4. There's only one plane in the British line I'm even remotely looking forwards to. Other than the late meteors, but I'm going to have to go through the early... Fucking hell, I'm going to have to go through the early meteors to get to the late meteors. And I don't really want the early meteors. I don't want the late meteors that much at all. They're too easy to deal with the American jets. But the Tempest. I'm looking forward to the Tempest a little bit. I'm looking for the Tempest Mark II, the air-cooled engined one. I'm looking forward to this plane a lot. I've read some fun things about this plane. I mean, it looks all rusty and fucking... It is not the prettiest plane. It's like a Thunderbolt that is inbred slightly. But hey, it's a big, massive, air-cooled, powerful engine. I love those types of planes. And it's not as unmaneuverable as the Thunderbolt. And it's significantly faster, and it can out-accelerate and out-climb a Thunderbolt. So it's like the Thunderbolt, but better. Whoops! It's like the Thunderbolt, but better in every way. It also has the Hispano cannons that I'm quite happy with. I'm quite fond of those cannons. Those cannons are the only redeeming... Well, the cannons and their turn times are the only redeeming thing about the British aircraft by Tier 3. They're extremely maneuverable, and I understand how some people that don't understand how fighter combat works, that think maneuverability is even remotely relevant. The only time maneuverability comes into the fight at all is when everything's gone wrong and you're trapped at low speed and low altitude. That's the only time maneuverability should matter. If you play smart and if you play well, maneuverability will never be relevant. The Hispano cannons, considering how low the rate of fire is, how poor the explosive charges they carried in reality were, and how bad their track record was, I'm shocked at how good they are in this game. I think the main reason people think the Hispano cannons are good is because they have such an insanely high muzzle velocity. It makes hitting things a lot easier than it is with the low velocity 20mm the Germans use. But other than that, I think the German cannons actually are better in every way. The German cannons have higher rates of fire. The explosives in them are much more devastating, meaning range isn't really a factor as long as you can hit them with the German cannons. Because the explosives do the damage. It doesn't rely on the kinetic energy of the round to do damage, which the British shells sort of do. What kind of ammo do the British get? High explosive fragmentation incendiary is pretty good. Unfortunately, the British rounds aren't. They also have practice shells mixed in, which is garbage. Yeah, the British 20mm explosive rounds weren't exactly renowned for being terribly effective, and in this game they are. But as I said, I think it's just because it's so much easier to hit things with these cannons than it is with all the other 20mm. Because of how high the muzzle velocity is. Even the American version of the Hispanos, the Americans increase the rate of fire quite a lot, but they also reduce the muzzle velocity. So they're very easy cannons to hit stuff with, and they're very easy planes to fly. But once you get really deep into fighter tactics, and you think about your options, and you think about what's going to happen if something goes wrong when you're in a Spitfire, you're going to turn, and you're going to try and dodge. What happens when that fails and the enemies start swarming you? You die. What happens when you're in an American plane and that happens? You dive and run away and gap all of them, and now you're safe, and you return and try and gain the advantage. So, they're not my planes. They really aren't. The high maneuverability, low-speed planes, I've never really liked. The Chaika is one really great counterexample. I love the shit out of that plane, but only because you played at Tier 1, where everybody is stupid enough to try and turn fight you. People, by the time you get to Tier 3, a lot of people are smart enough that they're not going to try and turn fight you, and the British planes just aren't fast enough to really do much of anything. And of course, they're 400-mile-per-hour planes, and I mean, they're only going up against... Oh, look at that, 420-mile-per-hour planes. 400 even, but the G6 is a really bad example of a good plane. But all of the planes the British are going to end up competing with are all significantly, or at least noticeably, faster than them. Even the Russians! Even the Russians are faster than them. With the majority of their... all of their aircraft are faster. And even the Japanese will have aircraft that will outrun the Spitfires in the form of them, and the N1Ks will not actually outrun them, apparently. And of course the Zeros won't. The Zeros are even worse. Even the fastest version of the Zeros, which are in my opinion the best versions of the Zeros, even they are just so slow. They just don't work for me. So, I mean, I'm not going to say don't try the British. There are plenty of people that love the British. There are hundreds of people that believe the British and the Japanese are by far the best planes to play in arcade. And I'm not going to argue with you if you think that. I mean, you are wrong. They're some of the worst planes to play in arcade. They're also some of the worst planes to play in realistic. Because every other nation except for the Japanese is so much faster than them that if that other nation doesn't want to fight a Spitfire when the Spitfire has the advantage, the other plane can just leave. The only time you're ever going to be able to guarantee a kill on somebody in a Spitfire is either A, you're going up against someone who's extremely stupid, and if you're going up against a stupid Spitfire and a Bearcat, the Bearcat's probably going to win, as long as the Bearcat pilot isn't also stupid. So it doesn't matter, you could be the world's best pilot in a Spitfire, and you're just not going to be able to touch me in a Bearcat, or in a Mustang. And Mustangs aren't exactly renowned as being good planes, and if a Mustang is completely untouchable to you, then you're probably going to run into problems. And if you ever say, well, I fly my Spitfire all the time, and I just run the Mustangs into the ground, and then I catch them at ground level. Yeah, that works against stupid Mustang pilots, but smart Mustang pilots won't let that happen. Anyway, Spitfires, they're good planes. They aren't bad. I know I've made them sound really bad, but plenty of people love the crap out of these planes, and plenty of people make these planes work really well. But that's mainly because most people that play this game are dumb and will try and turn with the Spitfire. If you don't try and turn with the Spitfire still can kill you, but it's much more challenging. Their energy retention is just so bad. It's so easy to gain the energy advantage, even if one of them has the altitude advantage. So their insane climb rates just don't really matter. Again, unless they're going up against someone who's dumb and doesn't know how to exploit their speed advantage. Then it's really easy to get massive kill streaks in these. But if you're going up against good players, it's almost impossible to do well. Which is why the Spitfire, it wasn't really replaced, but the Spitfire was... I mean, the best pilots that Britain had during the end of World War II were flying Tempests. They weren't flying Spitfires anymore. Because the Tempest is just a better all-around aircraft, with the exception of maneuverability and climb rate. And inertia will always beat climb rate. And speed will always beat turning. If the pilot who has the faster, heavier aircraft is smart and flies right, they will always win. Which is unfortunate for very good pilots who try flying Spitfires and Zeros, because it works, and then you end up going against another good pilot, and it doesn't matter if you're the better pilot. If you're going up against a good pilot and they're flying something that is faster than you and you're flying a Spitfire, they're just going to win. Unless they make a mistake, but if they make a mistake, then they aren't a good pilot. Well, I shouldn't say that. I make plenty of mistakes, but I'm not really that good of a pilot either. I think I've rambled way more than enough. Way more than enough, considering probably half of everyone who's watching this has already quit, disliked the video, and is now commenting about how stupid I am. But it's true. Maneuverability always loses to speed. Try and shoot down a jet in a prop plane and you'll understand what I mean. So anyway, that was my review of the British in general. I'll be back to review them later. I'll probably try doing tier 2 matches and tier 1 matches, because that's where the British are. Well, I'll probably do some tier 2 matches though, and get some really good examples of how great the British can be, to go with how bad they can be. So anyway, that's that. I'm sorry if I've offended you. I'm not saying they're not good planes. I'm just saying, going up against good pilots, they're not good planes. So, bye everyone. Please don't hate me too much.